Hi, this is the Libertarian Party of Texas Candidate Highlight. I'm Amanda Gibbs. I'm the Communications Director. My co host is Nathan Polsky, the Campaign Support Director. And today we are featuring Seth Steele, who is running for House District 18.
Yes, ma'am. Howdy. I'm Seth Steele running for House District 18 in place of Shauna Steele, who was kicked off the ballot.
Thank you for running and thank you for joining us today. So, Seth, why don't we just go ahead and get started? I know we've had some conversations in the past, but for everybody else who's out there who's watching this and is probably shocked to see somebody else on the ballot as opposed to what they thought beforehand, who are you and what kind of got you involved in politics?
I got involved in this particular race after my wife, Shauna Steele, was kicked off the ballot. We had a lot of the same viewpoints on, um, how to, I guess, libertarianize Texas. And suddenly, towards last month, we got an email saying that she was kicked off the ballot, and we had to find her a replacement. And so she asked me, how I felt about it, and I took up the race. Otherwise, generally, I'm not too interested in politics, but I think that's what's going to make me a good candidate. I'm not a career politician.
Yeah, usually the best people for the job are the people that don't want the job. So,
Well, so
Amen.
is George Washington and Orwell. Yeah.
all right. Well, again, thank you again for picking up the torch there and carrying that on. So this is a two-way race. It's you and it's an incumbent, correct? Or is it not an
Nope,
incumbent?
no
The
incumbent.
incumbent, yeah, the incumbent got railroaded by Mr. Abbott in a dispute over Colony Ridge, and Janice Holt received overwhelming support from the Republican Party, and I might add, the most money out of any candidate that Greg Abbott spent money on. So it's pretty hard up. I'm not a rich man, but we're still gonna give it a go. It's
Hmm.
the libertarian way.
That's right. Don't let her guarantee a victory. She's actually gonna have to fight for it now.
Exactly. That's pretty much why I'm here to give them another option.
All right. Right. So, what's the general demographics of that area?
So we got mostly rural, uh, floodplain, riverside, uh, leading up to urban. We kind of got almost every terrain actually out there. We got a national preserve. Um, as far as the demographics, you're going to have, ruralistic type people,
Hmm.
country
I
folk.
know for Bales, one of his things that got Greg Abbott supporting his opposition was the fact that he was actually speaking for like his voters, and they did not. Even though typically libertarians are very much about school choice, like Ernest Bales' demographic was like, hey, there's not a lot of options when it comes to school choice, so we didn't want this, and so he voted against school choice and was one of the only GOPers to do that. And so,
So Ernest's points was like a modified school choice, from what I understand. I don't really remember the exact specifics, but he got hung up for the same reason you said, because there aren't a lot of options around there. Of course, I agree with school choice, so that makes me an easy pick over Janice Holt as well, because Abbott still gets his school choice option with me. Um, but it was, like I said, it was mainly his mistakes towards starting up Colony Ridge and trying to get approval with Trey Harris, who went to Greg Abbott to get Colony Ridge started. Like, that was approved by the governor himself, which is really confusing me as to why it's considered wrong now, but it wasn't back then.
Hmm.
That's my only question. But I'm not a politician yet, so I guess we won't get too far into that.
All right. Well, so speaking of being a politician and the incumbent being railroaded because he spoke up for his constituents, what would be um, your policy, your goal, or how would you plan on doing that if elected?
So if we're speaking on the tenets of Colony Ridge and its inhabitants themselves. If the law said that they can own property legally and they don't get railroaded by Colony Ridge themselves, who has like I think a 90% foreclosure rate, then they can keep their property. I'm going to fight for them to keep their land that they paid for, that they pay taxes on. There's some media coverage by Ben Shapiro, I believe, stating that they don't pay taxes, and that's just simply not true. Everyone pays taxes, and I accumulated in the math close to upwards of $1 billion over 10 years' time in tax revenue from Colony Ridge. So there are good things coming from Colony Ridge. They're just not stated in the media. As far as everybody else, uh, I think one of the biggest problems is government overreach, like FEMA. I think these people listing out their properties as flood damaged are going to wind up facing eminent domain problems, and I'd like to step in the way of that.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's,
So
libertarians love to fight about eminent domain.
yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know what eminent domain is, and if they are paying attention to politics, I would hope they do know. Um, could you explain, you know, what the issues there may be?
So it's basically the government coming and taking your property, and usually it's based on a principle of a lie, saying that your property is too dangerous to stay at, or they need to build a bridge, or you know whatever they can come up with. It a lot of times involves farmland, and it's settled privately, and but in this case, um, with flooding, they'll just declare these places condemned and they'll take their properties. That's what exactly what happens when you go chasing FEMA money. You want a $700 check saying that your house was damaged in a flood, uh, for insurance purposes. But they're also going to come back and say that your property is no longer inhabitable,
Mm.
and the government takes your property. And I think in this instance, also, I wanted to bring this up. There's been, I don't remember their exact names, but there is a multitude of Republicans that have tried to make bills in regards to eminent domain and Colony Ridge. I have to pull those up later and probably put them on my Facebook for people to see. But what they stated was that the illegal immigrants should have their properties taken, eminent domain take place, and their properties granted to Department of Health and Human Services. And from that point on, I guess they would have full control over the pockets of Colony Ridge that they could eminent domain. So it's interesting, because we talk about the original inhabitants of District 18. That's the outlying rural areas, and then we talk about uh, inside of Cleveland, Texas, where we have Colony Ridge Estates, and that's actually the big deal behind District 18 right now. Um, so it's actually two different accounts of eminent domain that are being transponded here.
Well, I know I don't like eminent domain. I've seen it pop up here as well in North Texas. It's popped up kind of all over the place, and it's it bef- befuddles me how Republicans are claim to be all about property rights, and they're usually the first ones to say, "Give me your property."
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great
Well,
point.
that brings me to my next point: property tax.
Hmm.
You know, the Republicans repeatedly keep on going on about that they're going to eliminate property tax, that they're going to give you tax breaks, and it just keeps going up. My point is to give everybody no property taxes. You should definitely own your property outright, no matter what age you are. I understand that there's an age specific category that now gets homesteader relief.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all they've done. Janice, my opponent, does not actually specifically talk about invoking no property taxes. So I just wanted to make that clear for everybody.
So if you live in District 18, if you don't want to have to pay property taxes, Seth is who you need to be voting for.
Yeah, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I don't want any property taxes for anybody. The government wheels, they will still turn, even
Mm-hmm.
though we're not paying our property taxes, and we pay all these other kind of taxes, which I also disagree with. But right now we're dealing with in district, so we won't
Right.
get into that.
Baby steps. Right.
Increments.
So you've talked about eminent domain. You've talked about property taxes. Do you have a list of like top three, top five policies or topics that, when you're elected, you want to tackle?
There are topics that I want to tackle. All I can really tell you is the dropping of the Chevron doctrine
Mm-hmm.
opened up a floodgate of things that I'd like to pursue. Unfortunately, I would love to expand on those things, but it would give away my position, and I can't.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
It's big. It's big government stuff, and I know that Texas likes to play this role of they're against the Fed or whatever. We are against the Fed as libertarians. We're open about it. We're inclement about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just simply that's not how it works in this state. It's a gimmick to get you to vote for them, and it's unfortunate, but it has. I can name off some things as far as drug use. Uh, the illegality of drugs, doctor patient relationships. I plan to I don't want the government intruding in those anymore. I think those are private relationships. What happened to HIPAA Act? I thought we had that,
Only if
and
you're
then
not Greg Abbott, right? Or Ken
yeah,
Paxton.
and then a lot of people smoke herbs. I mean, I don't really understand why those would be illegal. So with the new escalations that occurred in the Supreme Court, I think that we can bring it down to a local level and help some people live out their best life. And that what they like to say, live
Mm-hmm.
your best life. Uh, but unfortunately, as far as like how I intend to enact that, I couldn't really expand too much on it right now from a legal standpoint.
All right, so it's pretty solid. Yeah, and that's something you know, people don't realize, or at least libertarians we realize, is that residents in District 18 know what the residents in District 18 want. The people in Austin don't know. The people in the federal government don't know.
Yeah, definitely. You know, as far as foot walking and talking to people, I know that there's a lot of people who like to endeavor in the devil's lettuce, so to speak. I know that people like to keep their firearms. All of these different alphabet agencies are completely illegal and unconstitutional, and they definitely shouldn't be trickling down to the local level and telling us how to live our quality of life here either. And so I do intend to get in the way.
And I will support you being in the way every single time.
Agreed.
All right, Amanda, I'm gonna stop asking questions for a minute and kick them over to you.
Well, I didn't look at the list, remember?
All right, well, let's see then. I can pick up another one then. So, what kind of sets you apart from your opponent, whether it's policy wise, whether it is experience wise? I know you're not a career politician. Is she a career politician?
Yeah, so she's been involved in school board affairs for several years. In my opinion, unsuccessfully. She's written out a
And
lot of bonds that are frankly illegal. They haven't been paid back. Properties were sold to other public entities such as fire departments. That's not my job. I'm not running for attorney general, so she doesn't need to worry about me coming after her. But maybe if she loses this campaign. Uh, but no, I'm not a career politician. I do have experience working with the public as a security contractor, company owner. Um, but I'm not really going to be here for the money. I make a good salary myself. This is strictly about helping people, which I don't think anybody who's a politician should be leveling up and upwards of millions of dollars when their salary is only what 50 to 100K is our average. I don't
Hmm.
understand how we have so many people that seem to be expert stock traders once they become a politician. I'm not in it for the money. That's what sets me apart from everybody else trying to do this job.
Awesome.
it's like I'm
What was that?
trying to. I said,
All right, your audio is cutting out pretty bad. All right, so while she's keeping an eye on the audio there, checking that out, do you let's say you get elected, and you are the first libertarian elected to the state house in Texas. Um, Hopefully, you're not the only libertarian that's elected, but chances are you would probably be the only one, if or there may be one or two more that get elected. So you're going to have to find a way to, I'm assuming, work with Democrats and Republicans across party lines while in the House. So do you have any sort of strategy for that? I know some people we've talked to have said, "Screw them, I'm going to be the lone man out," or "No, I'm going to find a way to kumbaya with them."
Yeah, I totally understand the question, and the truth is that you're not going to be able to tell them f off or whatever. We won't get anything done. So I'm sort of like a neutral ground. I'm an open door policy, and uh, we're going to try to find where we can meet in middle grounds, Democrats versus Republicans. That's really what it's all about. We're just kind of out there like a third wheel, and you always got red versus blue, like some
Hmm.
Bloods and some Crips over there in that district house. And I'm more going to try to act in a professional mannerism of enacting bills for the people. Like how far have we gotten on? Again with property taxes, we've been talking about property taxes in Texas for what 26 years.
A
You know,
while now.
that's how long the Republicans have been in power.
well, it's because they're constantly going off against on some tangent against a Democrat or whatever. Democrat comes up with a good bill, it dies in committee. I've been reading them,
Hmm.
and the only bills I see coming across now have to do with more taxes, and putting in more for their industries. Um, so I'm basically going to be the voice that speaks up about uh, the challenges that people are facing, such as flooding and property damage and possible eminent domain, um, and and property taxes. That's what I'm here for. So like a neutral ground
Hmm.
aspect, I guess, is the approach that I'm going for.
Gotcha. Yeah, it sounds like a solid strategy there. Amanda, you've got your audio fixed yet?
I don't know. Do I?
Yes, it seems to be working.
Sounds like it.
All right, I'm just going
I
through my
was
list of.
looking at the list of questions. Um, so one of the ones that I specifically wanted answered: how do you plan on involving the community, like not just Colony Ridge, but all of HD 18, like in the bills and stuff that you decide to tackle or support? How do you plan to involve your constituents with that?
So again, we're going to go with the open door. Anybody who wants to approach me and talk to me, we're going to try to get to them when we can, and they'll hear from me directly if time permits. As long as it's, just for future reference, as long as it specifically pertains to whatever bill that I put or they're against by someone else in motion. Um, as far as everything else, technologically, I feel like we'd start heading down the wrong road if I started to invent new sources or services for people to go through politically. Especially if I was the only libertarian in office, it might look like some kind of gimmick or hijink by me.
Hmm. All right. Well, I think I've gotten through most, if not all, the questions that I had teed up. Amanda, did you have any others that you wanted to shoot?
Not really, because he talked about all the stuff that I wanted to. And he was nicer than I would be about Janice Holt. So,
We got to remain, professional towards our opponents, at least in the public eye. What I might say, when this computer turns off, it might be a lot different. Um, but as far as to the public eye, I'm gonna remain with my composure. And then just another thing that I really, I guess I left out, if we're to that point, if I can speak more
Sure.
freely.
Absolutely.
Um, so about the children and the schools, I do understand that people have this made up persona theory given off by the news media that we support the sexualization of children in schools, and my own personal stance towards children in schools is that they're there to learn.
Hmm.
And that's the whole reason why I'm about online education, AI, and school choice. Uh, we don't we don't support transitioning children into sexual theory to begin with. They're not matured. They're not adapted to that yet, and we're sure not here to do that. That's a common misconception about the Libertarian Party, that we're interested into reading time, like how they did to our presidential candidate, the browbeatings they gave him. He's just saying basically, I support y'all being free in your theories and beliefs, and I'm the same way. So what I'm saying is that I don't agree with child sexualization, and I definitely think you should be able to move your children around to the best place to be educated that you feel as a parent you should do so. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
And that's whether it's another public school, a private school, or a home school.
Yeah, definitely. Like online education is being integrated. Um, AI is becoming something else. I mean, I learn all kinds of stuff. I'm a part-time mechanic because of artificial intelligence and YouTube. You so I definitely think that the parents should have a choice in that, and that's why specifically because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in some of these schools. Yeah.
I hear you.
sure is.
All right. Well, Seth, do you have anything else you wanted to say before we go then?
Uh, as far as law enforcement, I know that you had overread an email that I had sent you where we talked before. Um, Law enforcement, I do agree totally with there being law enforcement. I think law enforcement is definitely a good thing out there in District 18. There's some questionable things going on that sensitivity reasons I can't really state in this interview yet as to who and what is going on, but we are having some missing people. and I'm going to capitalize on that in this interview. And we don't really have a lot being done about it because there may be a sliver of corruption or good old boy system going on. And I just wanted to say, as a libertarian, a lot of us do agree that there should be law enforcement. It's just the overzealous law enforcement, beating somebody on the side of the road or going through their car for, let's say, a dimer of herb. That's what I don't particularly agree with. I think we have a lot bigger issues going on. I think we got, fake pills and fentanyl and gang members going around abducting little girls. That was a recent issue in the district, I believe twice now, in the last year. And I do intend to work hard with law enforcement to actually provide or get them to provide actual law enforcement rather than browbeating the same old people. So when I say reform, I don't mean to abolish the police. What I mean is to integrate them into a higher standard of catching actual criminals. And that pretty much that does it for me. That's what I want to get off my chest and just let y'all know who I am in this interview.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I know there's a lot of libertarians that would definitely agree with that law enforcement statement there. So I feel very confident that you'll be picking up all of the libertarians in HD 18. And hopefully, a lot of disenfranchised Republicans and Democrats that are also looking for something different and not the same old song and dance. So, thank you again for coming on. And what we've got down below in the video is just a couple links. So your Facebook is Vote Steele Texas. You go to Facebook page there. And we've got a website for you, steele2024.lptexas.org. So that should be fully live by the time this video goes up. So anybody watching, head over there and check out more information about Seth. Amanda, do you have anything else you want to say before we go?
No, I just really appreciate you running as a replacement candidate.
I appreciate y'all's support and putting me on this interview. Not too many people ask me to interview, so I feel privileged.
Well, hopefully you get a lot more asks now. Now that your name's going to be on there, hopefully the different organizations out there will see that there's somebody else on it now and start shooting you some emails. Well, again, Seth, again, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you again for running. I know there's some a lot of red tape that we had to go through to get you on there last minute. Because thank you very much, Secretary of State, for that. But because
let's do a follow up. Yeah, let's do a follow up about that red tape with Shauna. I think we should discuss the end result, let people know how this goes too.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do stuff like that.
All right.
All right. Well, again, thank you everybody for watching. So again, this is Seth Steele running for Texas House District 18. Be sure to check out his website. Be sure to check out his Facebook. I think you may be getting a Twitter up here or an X up here as well. Check all those out. And look for his name on the ballot this November. And again, you can head over to the Libertarian Party of Texas YouTube channel to check out other candidates that we've interviewed. And I believe we're going to have a couple more, some other replacement candidates that are going to be interviewing, and some others that just haven't had the chance yet. So check everybody out. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.